Hey fellas, and welcome back to With a Y. Today I want to talk about a topic that we've touched on the channel before, but very lightly, never too in-depth, and that is the topic of power scaling, because there's been this recent kind of trend going around that has been clowning on this one website called the Battles Wiki. I'm so glad of the new wave of TikToks people have been making fun of Battles Wiki, considering how much Twitter users treat that shit like gospel. I feel like I should give y'all a rough introduction to what Battles Wiki is, and before we get into any slander or criticism of the site, I'd like to give it a bit of credit for just how comprehensive it is. Like, regardless of the veracity of the information on the website or how valid all of the rankings and terminology it uses are, it is very wide-reaching, and it is one resource that people can use at least as a jumping-off point to make corrections from that I haven't really seen matched anywhere else. It covers all types of medias from like a bunch of different places around the globe, and I think that has value on its own. That said, the context we need to lay out for the purposes of this video's discussion becomes a bit nonsensical. In the terms category, you have stuff that you might not recognize, but on its face isn't like ridiculously hard to parse. There's attack potency, antimatter, lifting strength, bloodlust, the multiverse, multipliers, metaphysical aspect. All of these have more you could go into individually about them. The thing that is coming into question the most is the tiering system on this fucking website. And I'm gonna be honest, this thing is completely nonsensical to me. Like, it appears to be numbered from tier 11 down to tier 1, with letter denotations in between as like subsections of the original, with the lower the number, the stronger the character in question is. The thing is, the way they describe this is not very clear on that. Tier 11, which should be the word, is infinitesimal. This implies extremely small. This tier pertains to characters or objects that can create/destroy or affect the whole structure of a lower dimensional universe or lower layers/levels of reality. 11B is hypoverse level. Characters or objects that demonstrate power equivalent to destroying/creating infinitely inferior 1D constructs of any size. I need y'all to understand that I am a casual power scaler. Like, I know some of these turns in a vacuum, not how they like stack up next to each other. I more believe that the question of who would win in a fight is inherently interesting and is a low stakes way to have fun conversation with another person who shares the same interest as you. It's less about being right, and the passion lies more in I like this guy more, and I don't really care if the information backs it. I am just pushing an agenda. That said, I also do take interest in people who break down the numbers to the extent that it's possible to break down the numbers of who would most likely win when you really look at it. The thing is, doing this really does require taking things out of the intended story context in their original source material, and you gotta do a lot of bending to make entirely different universes mesh in any way where you can compare like what a fight would even look like. Like 11A is high hyperverse level. Characters or objects that demonstrate power equivalent to destroying 2D constructs of any size, which is really confusing because I believe they mean 2D as in 2 dimensions, but the way they've tiered this, it makes it sound like something in the multiversal tier, 2D, which doesn't actually exist, is what we should be dealing with. Okay, this is like within the context of the story, it is fiction, or within reality, it's fiction, to the best of my knowledge. Like, a hypoverse is in basement reality. Like, we're getting already lost in this. Do you understand what I mean? That this is like incredibly hard to parse on its own? So tier 10 is where we can actually start to look at these things. This is baseline human power level. And the smaller the number, the more powerful the level. Like, you know, in theory. Tier 9 is a superhuman. Tier 8 is urban. And from here, it's kind of characterized by like, what could a character destroy with their given power level and or capability? 8C is building level, characters that can destroy medium-sized buildings and constructions. This goes down to large buildings, city block, and multi-city block. Then you get to nuclear, where it's like the size of the town or city that you can destroy gets bigger and bigger. This goes to island, to small country, to continents, to interstellar, to substellar, to stellar, to cosmic, so on and so forth until we get to like infinities, like you can destroy entire timelines. And then tier 0 is boundless, like you're transcended a bunch. You get the gist. It's basically the lower the number in Battles Wiki's ranking, the more powerful they should be, right? And you know, as impressive as the width of Battles Wiki's coverage is, they get a lot wrong from what I understand, and it leads to just some insanely funny matchups that don't seem to make sense on their face at all when actually paired against the tiering system they use. How Phineas versus Goku would go according to Battles Wiki. You see, Phineas ranks 8B baseline, but he goes up to 3C with his best known invention, where he has Goku, a measly 4B. Goku would apparently just get pieced the fuck up, man. I won't lie, I am a big fan of just crack matchups. I really like two characters that really have no business even being compared, both from a story perspective and in the nature of their powers. I like when you smash them against each other because it's just amusing. And the idea that fucking Phineas would just piece Goku the fuck up, that does make me giggle, and I'm not gonna hold you, that's the majority of what we're gonna be looking at during the rest of this video. Now, this one is hilarious. Gohan genuinely giving it everything he's got to make Omnitrixless base Ben 10 flinch. Like, that's a baseline human at that point. But apparently it's 1C, and I'm gonna be very honest, I'm not checking the Versus Battles Wiki entries on these to see if they line up with how the TikToks are portraying them. We are here to slander these mercilessly and laugh at the absurdity of the matchup being made at all. I'm gonna be honest, I genuinely don't know who is coming up with these. Now, there are a few of these that I think actually have some genuine reasoning behind them as to why they could potentially be close. EOS Peak Strength Deku using 100% one-for-all versus a singular board rabbit going to the world's closest extreme diff stalemate. The funniest part of this to me is that the visuals people tend to choose to demonstrate like what the matchups they're proposing would look like are fights between characters who are much lower in power level than the characters we're supposed to imagine them as. It's just that the animation itself looks cool and it's more supposed to illustrate how close it would be. It's more about the dynamic in the fight that is being shown than it is about like how gigantic the scale would be. The thing you gotta understand is that any series that tries to have any grounding of a power system that is like has internal consistency is going to just almost always get fucking no-diffed by Toon Force shit. And if you, as the peak of power in a universe with set laws about what the power system is, can match up to anything with any semblance of Toon Force, I think maybe Toon Force is the wrong word, but feats are done more because the creator thought they would be funny more than to be like a character or story moment. It should be lauded that your universe even scales that high. That said, Maharaga and a level 1 Shuckle having the most extreme diff fight ever. For the most part, the reason I included this one is I just respect the fuck out of somebody using stick fight animations to demonstrate how they think this would go. Seriously though, how the fuck does a Shuckle, much less a level 1 Shuckle, get the 7B? I guess the Pokemon universe just kind of scales generally to ridiculous heights. Like, the humans in that universe are much more durable than you or me would ever be. Like, to the point that the shit you see baseline humans survive inside of Pokemon puts them more on the level of, like, minor deities in other series. Speaking of, the Kratos getting straight BTA by Pikachu according to Versus Battle Wiki. I've had a little bit too much. I can imagine Ash's Pikachu specifically being capable of this. If you've seen some of the feats that Ash has pulled off, and also Pikachu while he was being controlled by, I believe it was Groudon's orb, I forgot which color it was, that dude was going toe-to-toe with Kyogre. Like, he is genuinely cracked. And to be fair, he did have the boost from the orb, but oh my fucking god, they were doing crazy work. The type of fight Susie Deltarune will extreme diff against Scrooge McDuck, according to Versus Battle Wiki. Trust me, you guys have been missing the Deltarune mentions in the last few videos, I understand, but there is this large amount of Undertale Deltarune mentions in this one. The thing you should know, though, is that at least 9B, likely 7B with Creation, 8C, higher with Rude/Redbuster, 7B with Creation. In the Light World, she has Creation, Reality Warping, and Darkness Manipulation. She's able to open dark fountains by coursing her will, and it's just, that is a very in-universe ability, where it's really hard to translate that into how it would affect matchups with other characters. Honestly, I kind of prefer the matchups like this where they actually show at least a little bit of the explanation for why certain characters are in tiers on Versus Battle Wiki. Here we have Frisk versus Mario. Tier varies with Determination, high 8C up to higher, Determination 2B with peak Determination, and Mario is 2B with the Power Stars. And so it takes Frisk, like, using all the Determination in all of the entire game just to fucking go blow for blow with Mario. This one kind of makes sense to me. I think there's just something about me that will always enjoy this type of edit. How Nacho Libre versus Human Form Akaza and William Afton will go according to versus Battle Wiki. Okay, you know what? I think Nacho Libre would actually smack the fuck out of William Afton. Like, that is just a dude at the end of the day. We're not talking about Springtrap. We're talking about a dude who's depicted as purple and scrawny and sickly. Okay, this one seems absurd on its face, but if you've seen some of the shit that Maggie from The Simpsons has done in the show, then you would agree that this is actually generous to consider it this close. How Adam Smasher versus Maggie Simpson would go according to versus Battle Wiki. Listen, I understand that they get a lot of things wrong on that website, but you actually have to use examples of it being ridiculous for it to get across as a message. Just being a character from a cartoon is almost a buff on its own. Like, if I go to Peter Griffin's versus Battle Wiki page, let's see what it shows us. 9A? Okay, that is bullshit. That is complete bullshit. He scales to, like, at least minor reality warping, man. And I control F reality. There's no reality manipulation on here. Dude, he can do crazy shit. How Superman versus Cheese the Chow, not even Cream, would go on the versus Battle Wiki. 2C at his peak, whereas Cheese the Chow is 3 at a 2C baseline. Shit's lazy. My heart is lazy. If the word kill me, oh, dude, I fucking love this shit so much, man. It's so fucking funny. How Kratos versus Gary would go according to versus Battle Wiki. Again, we're talking about a cartoon character. The fact Kratos even, like, scales to it in any person's brain is a testament to how powerful Kratos is in a universe that has even something remotely resembling hard rules. This time, I can't believe I couldn't see. We could go on like this forever. A Singular Froakie versus Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen. A Waddle Dee versus Sukuna. Actually, listen, the Kirbyverse is disproportionately busted, even compared to things that I've shown you today. I absolutely believe this is the case. An AK-47 versus a pair of scissors going head for head. Listen, an AK-47 needs a competent user in order to, like, actually destroy the scissors. You'd have to aim correctly, so I can see this being closer than you'd think. The type of fight Saitama, Goldship, and Baldi are having against Sos Ramirez, according to— you get it. You fucking get it at this point, man. Do I need to say more? This is not like a serious criticism of the website. I haven't gone doing a deep dive, and it's also not my serious commentary on power scaling. It is just really funny how absurd the whole thing can get. The Kwytebox email's in the description if you guys want to send me any video topics. Anyways, piss off.